going on, everybody? Guess what? We back again with another hot fight episode 5. Okay, so the last few weeks we've been having some topics. Okay, some topics they've been ranging. Y'all been chiming in. Y'all been winning money on the Cash App. Remember, we don't do gift cards no more. We do Cash Apps because one is easy on me, and two, you probably rather have some money anyway. Some of y'all didn't like some of y'all took like the little gift cards and y'all like the Subways, the Targets, and things, but everybody like money. So it's easy to send y'all some money, drop your Cash App, and call it a day. So as always with decision fatigue and the struggle with deciding on what to make those big decisions and daily and just in life in general, we got a good topic today that I think is pretty good because although I feel like with mental health, the stigma is starting to be more accepted, it's still kind of like taboo in some areas. So today's topic is pretty interesting. So today's topic is why you need both God and therapy. All right. The meme for this week reads, why choose between your faith and God and therapy when you can have both of them? You can have both. And we're going to get into that in a minute. Inspirations for this week. So the inspiration came from both me utilizing both God and therapy in my personal life. And I'm going to get into some stories about that as we go along. The phrase, I'll just pray about it. As a believer myself, I understand that I've heard it before and I kind of want to attack that this week and, make that to where it's not like just the easy go-to answer because it sounds good. It's one of the things that sound good on paper, but it really ain't the easiest to do. And my guest, that's all he does. So let me go ahead and introduce my guest today. What's going on, my guy? Tell the people your name.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Cuthbertson. I am the CEO and founder of God+Therapy.
All right. Tell the people where you're from and where you live now.
We're in Richmond, Virginia, right outside of, well, I ain't gonna say right outside, but I'm right smack dab in the middle of Richmond, Virginia. Went to BCU, graduated from BCU in 06, been doing this therapy thing for the last 10, I see going about 10 years now. Before that, I did 13 years of probation office. I was a probation officer for 13 years. So currently right now, like I said, I am the CEO, the owner of this brand here. I'm also a substance abuse and mental health counselor at a local inpatient rehab facility. And I'm also doing intensive in-home counseling with some of the youth that's around here in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay, so last week's guest, not last week, but the last guest I had, she was from Richmond, Virginia too. So
Okay.
maybe that's a sign I need to go up there for something. But
Yeah, Richmond is love, man. I might even know her.
no, you might. So you work for a rehab center, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So how is that?
Man, it's tasking. I'm not gonna say it's tasking. It's rewarding because those individuals stay there in the facility, and these individuals are dealing with opiate use and opiate addictions, and they're dealing with that. And then on top of that, they have the bipolar, they have the personal disorders or person identity disorders. They have the panic attacks. They have the traumas, the PTSDs. They have all of that on top of the addiction. And it's like I say, it's rewarding. I do 4 groups a day, and I do individuals with them as well. And I just love to see their progress. It's a 30-day program where they come in. It's insurance based. Insurance based. So the insurance pay for it for 30 days. If they need extra couple days, I think it goes up to 5 or 10 days extra. Depending on if the insurance approve of it or not. But like I say, they're in there. They get fed. They get all their medical needs met there while they're there, as far as medication wise, like your methadone, Suboxone, or any other mental health medications. And then they also have me there, along with other clinicians there, helping them through their mental health issues as well as their substance abuse journey.
Okay. Now this may seem like a stupid question, but is it hard when the 30 days is up and they leave?
It is, but it is hard because it's some of them you just like, man, I want some more work with them, but it's like a revolving door. So like as soon as that person leave, someone's coming right in. So it's almost like you got to start right back over and go in and start that process with this new person. So it's always some people coming in, always people leaving. But there are some ones who've left, and I'm like, I hope they're doing well. I wonder if they're doing well.
Yeah. As an educator, it was, when your kids leave, especially when I was an actual teacher last year and the eighth graders graduated, it was kind of like, dang, hope they doing good, because it was different when I taught one grade, and then even though they left, I was still at the school with them.
Yeah.
I could still see them in the halls and stuff, but that one was a little different because it's like, they graduated, they gone.
Yeah.
So, and granted, that's a whole school year, and you only got 30 days. It's still like it's day in and day out. So,
Yeah.
you can get close to somebody close like that. So how did your brand God+Therapy come about?
And so I went through, I mean, just like any other therapist or any other human being went through extreme trauma in their past. They went through some stuff in their past. Had me personally, I had a divorce. And that divorce is where it all started. Inside of that divorce, and right after that divorce, I found myself in extreme depression, isolating myself, alcoholism, the whole nine. And it wasn't until, and how I was able to recover from that. One was counseling. Another was actually coming back to Richmond, Virginia. And when I say coming back, I was living in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. So coming back to Richmond, Virginia, went through home first. Of course, I went back home to Chesapeake, Virginia, lived with my mother for a little bit. But when I came back to Richmond, Virginia, I was coming back with the things that I've learned in the counseling sessions, but then I also switched my narrative and not my narrative, but my location and my network. And I got into church. I didn't go to church. I got into church. I started getting active with church. And that's where I found steady peace, where I found steady blessings, steady things were coming toward me. I'm missing a word that I'm looking for, but I was able to find that peace, and it was abundant. I was able to find life, and it was abundant. And so I said, "Wow, this is amazing." God+Therapy didn't come until I left the job at the probation job right before the pandemic, and I was sitting on the couch and I was thinking to myself, and I was tired of people calling me, asking me, and you said it earlier in your opening, asking me, Joe, I'm dealing with this because at the time I just finished my master's, right, in counseling at Liberty University, and I was doing it in home. And so I was starting picking up this thing, and I was starting loving this therapy thing in this mental health world and this self-development world. And I was like, I'm loving this a whole lot more than I was loving probation, because I'm actually seeing people change with this self-development, with this therapy world, with this thing, and with my education. And so I was like, okay, what can I do with this? And I remember I was sitting on the couch, and my wife said, why do people keep asking me and asking us, hey, we just prayed about this thing, but we're still afraid. I just prayed about this thing, but I'm still have doubt. I just prayed about this
Right.
thing, and I'm still hearing voices. Like I'm still hearing stuff. I still have this PTSD and things of that nature. And so I was like, wow, people don't understand that you can put God and therapy together. And it literally was like a light hit off in our head and said, God+Therapy. You can have the faith and the works to put together. That's what the Bible says. Faith without works is dead. God without therapy, which is the works, is dead. But then I took it a step deeper, because a lot of people think that therapy is just you coming into my office, laying on my couch with my clipboard, asking you about your childhood traumas. No, therapy is so much different than that. A shower can be therapy. A bubble bath can be therapy. Podcast can be therapy. Working out can be therapy, right? Going to a baseball game or a basketball game with your loved one, therapy. Sitting around a bonfire with the brothers talking about the NCAA tournament, therapy. Going to a spa with your girlfriends, getting your nails and feet done, therapy. Therapy is just here to bring you some form of peace so that you can clear your mind and so that you can think stronger. It's helping you to create a narrative where you can clear that mind and get rid of that chaos that's going on in your mind so that you can think clearly, and that way you'll be able to navigate through that adversity that you're doing. So therapy is not just you sitting here. Therapy is going to that bank. I mean, not bank, but therapy is going to that beach with your bike and your journal and sitting there. God has created this earth for us to use therapeutically.
Okay. And that's a good way to look at it, because, like I said, I've never heard nobody speak on it from that angle. And
Yeah.
it's just so funny with, like, at this point, I had quite a few on the show, different types of therapists, male, female, different colors, ethnicities, all that good stuff. And what I love about them is, even though my guests range, because everybody's not a therapist, some people just be homeboy from around the block. But what I like about all the therapists, really all my guests, but especially even the therapists specifically, is they're all totally different. And
Yeah.
their styles of therapy are totally different. And every therapy is not for, no. Therapy is for everybody, but everybody's
Not
style of therapy is not for everybody.
right.
So what I like is like how you have a way where somebody may say I love that, and then if somebody else on here they might say I like that too. You know what I'm saying? It just depends, and
Yeah.
which I'm gonna get into later. I don't want to jump the gun, but I've had two different therapists, and both of them were effective in different ways.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I like both of them, which I'm gonna get into later.
Hmm.
But good stuff so far. All right, so let's get into what does this have to do with mental health. So with everybody, this one is kind of easy. The other ones is we got to kind of really dig deep. But with God+Therapy, it's pretty easy to get into what does this have to do with mental health.
Yes.
So from Talkspace.com, it's an article titled "Reconciling Religion and Therapy." It says that why you can talk to God and a therapist. People of faith who are hesitant to see to see a therapist sometimes say, "I don't believe in therapy."
Hmm.
This implies therapy embodies a belief system that clashes with their specific religion. It says subscribing to it will be a portrayal of religious beliefs. It says sometimes the attitude is linked to a skepticism of the validity of mental illness and disabilities. Author Nancy Verdon, who has discussed her struggles with major depressive episodes, is Christian and believes nothing about biblical teachings conflicts with her seeing a therapist and taking her medication. She has, however, encountered members of her community who do not agree. So before we move on, let's talk about that. So like I said, I don't believe that there is nothing wrong with doing both.
Hmm.
I remember when I first started to go to a therapist in 2016, I had a friend at the time, and she was kind of hearing my stories, and she was kind of like, not gonna lie, she was kind of blowing it off like, oh, it ain't that serious, you tripping, pray, all that good stuff. Now, Texas Southern University, I'm always shout them out. And she's a licensed professional, she's getting certified. And she made a comment asking, when you went to therapy, how did it help your relationship with God? And I told her it grew mine. And she asked how. And I said the therapist for me, I didn't read other people's comments. I probably should have. But I remember what I said was I used the therapist, what I realized in therapy, and I took that up and turned those into prayer points.
Hmm. Hmm.
So whatever I was going through at the time, using as getting to the root of what was the root of this, and I can pray against that trauma or reveal what's the root of that trauma, or why do I act like this, why do I think like that, so that I can you know fix it basically, or get it, just get to what I can do in my own power, and then of course leave the rest to God. But it's a process. Some stuff you get past, some not as much, but the main thing is being aware, and a lot of times I feel like a lot of people aren't aware.
Hmm.
Do you typically deal with a lot of clients that aren't aware?
When you say aware, you mean aware of God Himself, or
Aware of their own problems or issues?
so yes, definitely, because that's and so going back to my profession where I work at, this is why you tell people you want them to say, "Hey, my name is Jeff. I'm an addict." Off back, because you want them to identify the issue. If you don't identify the issue, or if you don't believe, and going back to the word belief, belief is an idea that you hold to be true, right? And so if I have this idea that I hold to be true, that I don't have any problems, you're going to shun away from therapy, or you're going to shun away from any type of advice, right? And if you have this idea that I don't have any issues and that I don't struggle with anything, or what I'm facing is not a problem, that I don't need help, then what you're going to do, you're not going to produce the energy that is to overcome this adversity, and this adversity is going to become even worse. It's going to become something stronger and bigger in your life, and that's how you get trauma. All right, we'll say stuff like, "Oh, my father wasn't in my life from the age of since I was 6." Right, but it's no biggie. I'm good. I'm good now. I'm strong now. Look who I am now. Look where I've become now. Right, but yes, you're a great husband. Yes, you're a great father. Yes, of course you are. But you struggle with effectively communicating your thoughts and feelings, because you never had anyone to sit down with you to talk about that at a young age, or taught you how to do that at a young age. And so now, when it's time to sit down and talk to your wife or talk to your child about how you're truly feeling, you stutter, you can't find the words, you back off, or you do something like, "Hey, look, let's just watch Sports Center to fix this argument that we have. Let's watch a Disney movie to fix this argument that we have. We don't need to discuss it." And next thing you know, and that before you know it, you know that, or before you know it, you're not necessarily a technically a good father or a good husband, because they don't know how you feel or how you're thinking. And so that's what it looks like when people are denying their awareness, or not denying their awareness, but having that full awareness of, hey, this is actually a problem. And
Exactly.
the thing about therapy that I would love for people to understand is You don't have to come to someone like myself or any other therapist that you had when you have a problem. Like, you can go to celebrate life, right? People go to premarital counseling because they're about to get married, not because there's a problem. They go because they're about to walk into a blessing and they want to prepare themselves for that blessing, right? Therapy is just a space to prepare yourself for a win. That's all it is. And if you have that type of narrative and that type of mindset, then you won't shun away from therapy. You won't look at it as something negative.
Okay, and that's another good point to look at. People look at it like, which I'm trying not to get into it, but the second time I went because it was available. As I
Yeah,
say all the time, I don't know about other professions because I've only really done education. But for educators, I can't speak for everywhere, but I think it is for everywhere. But I know for sure in Texas it's free.
yeah.
So the second time I went, it was like, you know what, I'm gonna go just cause it's free, and we'll get into that later. All right. So, from the same source, it said yesterday, a kind and faithful Christian woman said, "I don't believe in mental illness disabilities." She said, "I just don't." The Verdon told Talkspace that because the stigma of mental illness and therapy are linked, religious people who are considering therapy often face double the obstacles. And they face double the obstacles, I believe, because they're not going to acknowledge it and they're not aware. So they'll try to say, well, you know, oh, it's just the devil. But like, I believe it started off as probably demonic, but then it still turned into something psychological. So yeah, that might have been the initial attack, but then it still turned into a psychological issue.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll just say, oh, that, and then just leave it alone. And that's often sometimes where people will say stuff like, which even though I don't feel that way, I can't understand. People will say, well, if that's God and this how they're gonna be, I don't want it. Because sometimes the church and people who are believers, because as we know, it's different types, they'll be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna pray. Oh, I'm just, oh, God allowed it to happen, so that must mean it's just supposed to be, and that's not always the
Not
case.
always the case.
So it says that it's another article. It says why some people believe you can't practice religion seriously and talk to a therapist. It says they think that therapy is a rejection of God and the power of prayer and belief. It says some people believe prayer is the only answer to worldly pain, said Wendy Patrick, an ordained Christian minister and president of the New York Christian Legal Society. Among people of faith, this perceived stigma can be enhanced by the perception that seeking help from man instead of God is a sign of spiritual weakness. It says being in a small, close community and fearing people will find out and judge. That's what I like, not like to hear. Let me hold on what I mean. But that's what I like that they pointed out where it says people worried about what somebody gonna say. There's a lot of people. When I first went, I was real like low key about it. I didn't tell too many people. I was just kind of like going on the low. And I remember when I started going, it was the summer before my last semester of school. And I live in Houston and lived in Houston. So, I would come up to the school, go to the little counseling center on the low, be looking around, and I went to her. Shout out to Dr. Cooper. I went to her from, I think, late May of 2016 all the way through when I graduated in December. And so I remember seeing some people in there one time and then kind of like, and then I'm already naturally awkward. So I was like, hey, what's up, guys? What y'all doing in here? And then I went back and then we never talked about it. So I was just like, whatever. But as a licensed professional, twofold question. One, have you ever felt insecure or felt fear, any type of fear of people finding out you were going to a therapist? And then um what's the word I'm looking for? What is your advice to anybody who may feel like they are fearful of going to a therapist because of what other people might think?
So and I'm gonna get you to repeat that second question again because I want to make sure I got it. But that first question, to answer your question, when I went to counseling, I wasn't afraid, and the reason why I wasn't afraid because I was going. And here's the thing about counseling and therapy and all of this mental health world. You don't want to go to fix a problem. You want to go to fix you, right? Because if you fix that problem, another problem is going to come. But if you don't fix you, you're not going to know how to handle the next problems, right? If you don't fix your way of thinking, you don't fix your narrative or your belief system. Let's say I go to this therapy and they give me all the tools, all the interventions. They tell me all the things I need to do to fix this one problem right here. And then 4 years from now, I come into a different problem, such as a pandemic. I ran into a pandemic, and those interventions that I use, they help me to deal with the loss of a loved one, or they help me to deal with a loss of a job, or they help me deal with me being me. I don't know, lost my car, I got my car towed or something like that, right? And now this is a completely different adversity here. And so when you people who are afraid to go to therapy, when you start going for yourself, you're not going to be afraid to do that. For example, why do we go to the doctor? For ourselves, to get ourselves healthy, right? Why do we go to practice? To make ourselves better, right? To make ourselves better, whether sport it is, whether art that you're doing, whether it's painting, whether it's singing, poetry, rapping, sing, whatever it is, you go train, you go practice, you go to practice, you go in the studio, you go to the gym to make yourself better. It's no difference than you going to the therapy. That's what therapy is. The issue is, and what people get, like what I can say people get afraid of, to allow people to express to people that I'm going to therapy, is because you haven't really started loving yourself yet. Once you start loving yourself, right? Once you start loving yourself, you're not going to be worried about what people say. So if I love myself, I'm going to be assertive and tell you, yo, bro, I'm going to therapy, and guess what it's doing for me? It's doing X, Y, and Z, right? And then if I tell you that and you start turning your back on me because I'm going to therapy, guess what? I just realized that you're not really a true friend. You know? And so you can't get to a point where you're afraid to tell people that you're fixing yourself. Right? Because the true friends are going to be excited that you're fixing yourself. And they're gonna want to know more about it. That friend that's not a true friend, they're gonna be like, all right, bro, I'm gonna get off of you because I didn't know you was crazy. And so now you're calling me crazy. Why am I connected to someone? Why am I trying to build a relationship with someone who looks at me that way? Because I don't look at myself that way.
Right.
And so that's why I would suggest to people, like, you want to start looking at therapy as a tool to help you and not harm you, or not look at or not make you look small. It's a tool to help you, and that will help you with in the future with your friends.
Definitely. So I had a situation where I could tell he wasn't an advocate for therapy. He wasn't saying he was against it, but I had stated it was around the time I had started back going to a therapist last year. And one of my friends at the time was kind of like, you go to a therapist?
Yeah.
And then they was kind of talking about it in the conversation. He made the comment, well, my friends are my therapists. And I'm just like, they're not licensed professionals. So friends can give good advice, but it's kind of like, and that's why I like this platform where even if I'm by myself on the episode, as you see how I'm doing, I go to a source that somebody licensed a licensed professional is on it, and then I kind of give my take on it, or this is what the experts say, and then I bring people like yourself on, so that way, I guess I don't pretend to be an expert at all. I throw myself under the bus as much as I can, but I think you need that professional lens, and even if you don't necessarily agree, you still need it. So another source says that there is some bad blood in history of religion and therapy. It says therapy developed around the same time as the 19th century liberalism, a practice that threatened conservative religious groups and gave rise to fundamentalism. According to Professor Hermitis, some name, of religion, Bob Miner, it says because therapy is aligned with more liberalism, religious conservatives oppose in a way that it still impacts religious communities. It said then there's Sigmund Freud that says the father of modern psychology, who harshly criticized religion. So I guess maybe, especially them old heads, I'll see this one. We don't get into that stuff because they ain't nothing but the devil. But as we kind of stated earlier, like, if you are for me, this is simply, if you are at least just having the door open, one, to somebody just to talk to, if nothing else, and two, having the door open to figure out what may have caused something, then you can take that up and see, how do I go about it from there, just to see, what's wrong with me? Why did this happen? Why do I react a certain way? Then, you can get to it, because this is stuff I found out. I was shocked. I was like, wow.
You'll be amazed what you'll find out in therapy. And it's funny because what a lot of people do, and a lot of our old head church people will do, and I love them. I love our old heads. Love them. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't be able to have what we have right now. So I love them. But what they do is they try to put therapy plus God. And so what you got to do is you got to bring God into therapy. And once you bring God into it, that's why it says God+Therapy, right? Not therapy plus God. And so when you bring God into therapy, it's almost like, perfect example, you will see mental health and therapy inside of the Bible. The perfect story for it is the woman with the issue of blood. This young lady for 12 years was dealing with this issue of blood. So you're going to sit here and tell me that with 12 years and all the rejection and the doors being closed and the doctor saying, I don't know, and nobody want to connect with her, nobody want to hire her, she's going to walk around with a strong mental strength, like she's going to be mentally strong? There's no way in the world. There's
Right.
no way in the world. She's going to have self-doubt. She's going to have fear. She's going to have some type of identity crisis. There's going to be something going on with her, right? And she was able, and what mental health is just all it is strengthening your thoughts. We know this quote, our thoughts got to be stronger than our emotions. Because if our thoughts not stronger than our emotions, we're going to lose every single time. So out of all these thoughts, she was able to rely on one thought. And I'm going to show you how this whole story creates the therapy part into it. Because once she created, hold on to one thought, and allow her to behave a certain way, which is touch his garment and be healed, right? But Jesus stopped and turned around and said, who touched me? Who touched me? And she was still scared. She was physically healed. She stopped bleeding as soon as she touched him. She stopped bleeding. So you would think if once the crisis is stopped, once the pandemic is over, we can go back to our normal. But we can't go back to our normal because our mentality is still stuck in the pandemic. Our pandemic lasts for 2 years. You know how hard it is to change your mindset and change your narrative after doing 2 years of one habit, and the habit of being locked down? It's almost like somebody coming out of jail for 2 years. You're into hallucinalize. I can't even get that word out, but you know what I mean. Like their mindset is you're still thinking that you're still in jail. Now you have to go through a process to reprogram that mind. She was still thinking that, so she was scared and trembling to say, "It was me, God. It was me, Jesus. It was me." And this is the only time in the Bible he calls someone my daughter or my son. The only time. And he called her my daughter because he knew she was physically healed, but he knew if he kept moving and let her go off, she still was going to behave the way she was thinking. And he called her my daughter. Imagine what would happen with your life, or imagine how much your life would change, or how you would feel inside internally if Jesus says, my son. Like, that's a mind-blowing thing. And so now because of that, she's mentally able to go forward because now she's mentally healed and physically healed. And so if those individuals who are struggling with saying you can't have God+Therapy, I would suggest and challenge them to look at stories in the Bible where God went to someone's mental before he went to the physical. He was told Joshua that who told you that you was afraid? No one told you that. You thought that of your own. You thought that of your own. You can do this. You can come after Moses and lead these people. And so the thing about this again is you can't put therapy in front of God. God has to go first. I have to pray before I go to my therapist, or before I go to my counselor. That's the narrative that you have. God, I'm going to this therapy. I know you put this in front of me to help me out mentally and physically. So when I go in, please have your way. Allow me to hear something that's going to help me through this issue. That's the same thing. You're praying about it and then getting up and not doing anything about it. You're still going to have that fear. You're still going to have that postpartum depression or whatever those things are. You're still going to have that too as well. You're also going to still deal with that multi-personal disorder things. You're going to deal with these things. These things are chemical inside your brain. You're still going to deal with those things. They're not going to go away because I got on my knees and said, God, I declare these things, send these things to the pits of hell where they belong. And then I get up and think I'm going to be like, oh, I'm ready to go. No, you're still going to physically feel these things because we are human, which is why you have to add the work to it. And so I would challenge these individuals who struggle with this to understand that therapy is the work. If you believe that phrase, God plus work, not God, but faith plus work is dead. All right, faith without work is dead. I can't get it out. But faith without work is dead. If you really believe that, then you got to understand that therapy is the work and God is the faith.
Exactly. And that's the thing. People don't, they think, it's like the people in the simple one, people praying they want to lose weight, but then going to Jack in the Box every day. And
Right.
then you're not working out, and And I tell people all the time, like, if I can lose weight, anybody can lose weight because I like to eat.
Right.
So, at this point, I was lost 40 and then kept it off for some years. And then I started changing my diet again. And I now done lost a little over 20. So, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
And I just being honest. So, I mean, even with that, it's a mind thing. You have to train your mind to do it. And if you not, and sometimes I believe God allows you to get to the point where you sick and tired and you on your last.
Yep.
And then that's when things start happening. You might have to pray them dangerous prayers, like make it to where I'm just gonna keep it this since we already talking about it. I remember praying. I said, but when I first started losing weight years ago, I had first said, I remember I was like, make it to where it's easy for me to want to change my diet and want to lose weight and all that good stuff. And I remember out of nowhere, I just started looking at my pictures on transparent moment. I just started looking at my pictures on Instagram and was just disgusted. And then I remember seeing the video of me and I'm like, you look terrible. I was like, you fat slob. Like, that's how I was thinking. Some people say, that's you downplaying yourself. But look where I'm at now. So I don't mind it at the time because I was just like out of nowhere, which I know obviously what it was. It was sometimes prayers are answered differently.
Yeah.
Sometimes you praying for something to happen that's gonna take you to the next level, and boom, you lose your job. Now you forced to really shoot your stuff up, because it's all you got. You ain't got no crutches no more. All right, so let's move into the next segment, the weekly sabbatical. As we know, this is a time of reflection, and just sometimes it comes with tips and things of that nature. So it says, according to But I Have God, I Don't Need a Therapist. It says, personally, I believe that the stigma around therapy is decreasing. I agree. It says, but there are still some issues. One of them is the belief that therapy is only for serious problems. The issue is that people only come when they are in the middle of the tornado. That's funny, in the middle of a tornado. So it makes more work to get out the stress and get out the mess. If a person begins to see a therapist before the issue begins, the healing comes quicker. It says therapy is talking to someone who is trying to assist you in working through your thoughts and feelings. Do not wait until small struggles turn into unwieldy weight. Then it references Proverbs 15-22 and says that without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. So I'm gonna ask this out of order. So when I first started going to therapy, it was 2016. I had heard I should have went to, some said go to therapist in 2014, but I put it off. And so some stuff happened in 2016. And I went to it was a black lady, and she was real chill, laid back. Both the therapists I went to was laid back. She was cool, loved that it helped me with a lot of stuff. It helped me look at things differently. So for many years after that, because I found out it was free through education, I will always say, and I've been in education officially since 2017, late 2017. And I remember saying like, well, I could go back, but then for the longest, I'd be like, what do I need to go back for? So I remember one of my last year or 2020, into 2020, one of my partner teachers at the time, she was going to a therapist because she was going through a lot through the school. And so I said, well, I could go back, starting a new year, 2021, it's free. Why not? This one is a black man. I was 26 at the time. I'm only 27 now, but I was 26 at the time. He was a little older. He was like 32, 33. And so totally different style, but it was still needed because he was a real deep thinker. I don't believe he was more of like a beliefs wise. He was more of like a universalist, that kind, which obviously is not my belief. But even then, he still helped out a lot. He helped with my ways of thinking and, getting to the root of stuff. And then it was funny how even before I went to him, I'm thinking I didn't really need it. A whole bunch of stuff started happening. So it was kind of, I feel like it was like a divine setup in a sense. And it was just useful because the way he helped me rationalize and would say, I don't think that was the right way to handle it. And, that's kind of petty. You shouldn't, if you're going to answer how you answer, which he told me one time to a boss, if you was going to respond like that, you shouldn't have responded at all. Because he was one of those people, he would be like, he likes those hard conversations with friends, family, people. But he was like, if you was going to respond in that way, I'd rather you just not have said nothing. So,
wow.
yeah, because I ain't gonna lie, it was kind of nasty, my response to the boss at the time. However, I was picked at, so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of got, I reacted.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to something else, that was my therapy stories. But that goes into what I said earlier. Sometimes you can have two totally different type of therapists and they still won't be effective for
Right.
you. So what doors has God+Therapy opened for you?
Wow, man, that's an amazing question. That's a great question, man. God+Therapy has opened many doors. I have gotten connections with amazing pastors who believe in this theory, and believe in this concept. I have had so many conversations with amazing people who believe in this. But most importantly, and personally, it just reminds me how and it helps me to stay strong mentally, right? It helps me with my focus. When my focus goes, my energy goes, right? And so we know that focus is so important because it's the gateway to all our thinking, our perception, our memory, our learning, our reasoning, our problem solving, our decision making. And what God+Therapy does, it helps me focus so that all those areas right there are healthy. And when those areas are healthy, my family's healthy, my children are healthy, my wife is healthy, my finances is healthy, right? Because again, my perception, because I'm perceiving things well. My memory is good. I'm remembering what I'm doing with my money or what I said with my wife. I don't know why I can't speak to that. I don't understand. I'm learning new things. And when I learn new things, I gain confidence. Right? It's only when we gain confidence is because we just learned something new or we've learned so much about something, right? I'm able to reason well with my wife and with a 2-year-old because of God+Therapy. I'm able to problem solve at work. I'm able to problem solve in my household because of God+Therapy. I'm able to make better decisions because of God+Therapy. When you add those things together, your thinking becomes clearer because your focus is stronger. And again, your focus is the gateway to all your thinking. So that's what God+Therapy has done for me, man.
What celebrities have been rocking with your brand? Because I didn't seen a few. I know I saw Michelle Williams, right, from Destiny's
Michelle
Child.
got it. Pastor, Pastor Matthew Stevenson has been rocking with the brand. I think Latoya Luckett has it too as well. You remember the young lady from Kanye West, All Falls Down?
Mm.
She has it. She's been rocking with it. She's amazing. Erica Campbell, that whole crew has it. They're amazing. That's an awesome good bunch right there. I love that bunch. But yeah, it's been getting out there, man. I'm just grateful, man. Just humbled by it.
And so what happened? Because I'm sure, like with everybody else, you know how they always say that suddenly, that instantly, one thing happened and boom, you blow up after you've been working for so hard for so long, and then it's just like boom. Was that kind of the effect? Like it just seemed like out of nowhere, everybody just started rocking with it.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know if I had that boom moment yet. Honestly,
Mm.
I'm gonna be honest with you because like I would have that moment with Michelle Williams who's rocked it, and then it would take a big boom and then it would die down, or it would be like a little fizz and then it died down, and it wasn't like it was me reaching out to them and just catching them and just saying, hey, I would love to sit down and talk to you about my brand and I love to this and after having a conversation with them, it was like, yeah, boom, come on. And I remember being on Clubhouse how I got Apostle Matthew Stevenson to get to it. I was on stage with him on Clubhouse, and we were talking, and I was explaining the brand, and he said, before anybody talk, Jeff, I need you to send me every single thing every piece of article you got. I'm supporting you, brother. And I was like, whoa. And next thing you know, it was a big boom. And so I don't know if I had that huge boom. It's just been kind of like pop, 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 pop. And then it was kind
Yeah.
of like fizzed down a little bit. But those little pops it's like that kind of, oh, I'm gonna keep going. I'm getting there. I'm going. It's getting there. God got me. God got me. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. Because we know God is a God of patience. He's a God of time. He's not a hot pocket God. He ain't no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take my time and mold you. And so I'm just grateful for the process to get to where my heart is desired.
Okay. Okay. So let's kind of talk about it didn't die down now. It was a hot topic a few weeks ago. So let's talk about um the Will Smith slap at the Oscars.
Okay, let's do it.
So what's your take on that before I say what I gotta say?
Um, so I posted this, and my favorite part of it was Denzel and Tyler Perry. That was my
Okay.
favorite part of it. That was my favorite part of the whole thing. Like just like a baby, mental health needs a village too as well. You need a village around you to help you cultivate the right thoughts, to help you eliminate those self-defeating thoughts, to help you to stay on track, right? You need that right village around you. So I'm gonna say that before I say anything. Um, Will Smith is going through a lot. Will Smith is going through a lot. I started doing some research on his history about some of the things he saw dealing with his mother. There was another thing I saw that it was a young lady that he knew was going into a sex trafficking home, and he did nothing about it. He came home and cried about it. So he has this desire to protect women. So he has a lot going on, and this is the thing about when you hold on negative emotions. For example, anger. The definition of anger is a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, and hostility. All right, we're humans. It's okay to feel annoyed. It's okay to have hostility. It's okay to feel displeasure. But when you go to sleep with that annoying feeling, when you wake up, take a shower with that annoying feeling, eat your breakfast with that annoying feeling, go to work with that annoying feeling, come home with that annoying feeling, it's going to become a strong feeling, anger. And when you get to that anger, and if you don't have effective anger management skills, you're going to blow up like he did. Now, I'm not saying that Will Smith didn't go to therapy, because I know he did. I mean, it's documented that he went to therapy and things of that nature. But sometimes you hold on to that annoyance for so long that it makes you do something like that, right? On top of, I think Jada has something to do with it. I think Jada said something to him like, I didn't like that. I don't think that Will Smith should have done it like that. I really don't. I really don't. I don't think there is ever a space, like he said, a space for violence like that. Expressing himself on a national stage like that. And when I say Will Smith has a lot going on, I would love to have the money of a celebrity, but I don't want the life of a celebrity. Like, you can't even go get a jar of peanut butter without somebody taking a picture of you and then posting you on Instagram. And we know the internet is undefeated, regardless of what the topic is. So me personally, I know you want to. The key is to always be assertive. And assertive means, assertive, you're going to stand up for yourself. You're not going to take no crap from nobody. But the thing about assertive is you're going to do this in a respectful way. Meaning you're going to stay controlled. You're going to stay confident, right? And assertive people, when you're assertive, you don't mind conflict. You don't mind it. You ain't going to look for it, but you don't mind it. But the thing about assertive, when you're being assertive, you're always seeking peace. You're going to always seek that peace. So you're going to be patient. You're not going to raise your voice. You're not going to do what an aggressive person would do. Aggressive person is someone who's confident in what they're doing, right? They're confident how they're feeling, not what they're doing, but how they're feeling. But they have no control over it, which is why you see somebody who's aggressive punching a hole in the wall or smacking somebody. So Will was aggressive at that moment right now. And the difference between someone who's aggressive and someone's being assertive, that aggressive individual needs to control. Assertive individual is going to seek peace. The way you said it was perfect. That would have been assertive. Like, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm just going to do it in a controlled, confident, seeking peace manner. So that means when I get my reward, I'm going to take this opportunity to stand up for myself, my family. I'm not going to take any crap, and I'm going to do it in a respectful way, right? But when someone is aggressive again, next thing you know, because they're not in control, they're extremely confident, and they need control. They're not in control of their emotions or whatever. So they're going to punch walls, smack people, put sugar in somebody's tank. They're going to do something that's aggressive because they're not in control. And 9 times out of 10, when you act aggressive, the feeling that follows aggressive behavior is the feeling of guilt, shame, and regret.
Right. So he made a good point when he was talking about, Will Smith has gotten therapy. We talked about why he got in therapy, but also another part of this episode is, how to find the right therapist.
Yes.
So as we stated earlier, I guess I had 2 different therapists. Both of them were effective, but sometimes you may say, and I was blessed to get them because the one was first, Dr. Cooper, she was assigned to me. And the second one, he was the only therapist, I think, in the district. Well, no, it was another one, but it was me and her were friends, and she worked at the school, and I feel like that was too close to home. He was just throughout the district. So I felt like he didn't really know me personally. I didn't really talk to him on a regular basis, so I felt like it was perfect. So here are 9 tips for finding the right therapist, and this is the name of the article. Also, It's only 5 tips because we don't have time for all 9. But as I always, I give credit to where credit is due. So look up that article if you want to see all 9. And I'm gonna have the 5 that I thought were the most important for this episode, and we're gonna kind of like dissect them. So the first one, it says explore your local resources. It says your community may have resources to help you. If you're a student, your school might provide access to counseling center. I've said this off multiple times. Back in the day, my school was was free counseling and therapy at the school.
Mm-hmm.
And now where the world is now, I think a lot more colleges are doing that. But I know back in the day, my school been doing it.
Yeah.
So if you're a student looking into that, it says that, if you're employed, your human resources team might offer a list of therapists available through the workplace, wellness, or employee assistance program. And then it says if you need counseling related to domestic or sexual abuse, you might be able to find a group or individual therapy through a local advocacy program or organization. It says if you want your faith to inform your treatment, you might consider reaching out to your church or other worship center, a list of licensed therapists affiliated with your faith. And then you can do it like that. It says reach out to organizations that address your area of concern. So if you have an eating disorder, I don't think you should be looking for, domestic
Grief.
violence. You said what?
I said if you got an eating disorder, you should be looking for grief counseling.
Right, because you have an eating disorder. So that's not their area of expertise. They can help out, but there's not going to be,
Mm-hmm.
It says think about your goals ahead of time. That's the main thing. What are you trying to accomplish? Or are you just trying to go in there and just wing it?
Mm-hmm.
That's not always bad. It says pay a close attention to your reactions and your own responses, which is good. Are you quick to cringe up and flinch? It was only one time out of the therapy sessions, both of them, where I actually was like, no. And he was like, oh, so you can't receive it, huh? And I was just like, it was making me mad, but it was like,
Yeah.
And then the last one, it says try an online therapy app. And then it says Talkspace and BetterHelp are just a few. And there's a lot of them out there. So definitely y'all can do y'all research on that. And maybe at some point down the line, we can get those people on. All right. So let's move into the last segment of the day. Not the question, the challenge, the game time. All right.
Oh.
All right. So this game time is called You Need a Therapist. All right. So I'm going to ask him. This game was actually, which rarely happens. It was influenced by an article called 10 Signs You Need a Therapist. So it's not necessarily word for word stuff, but I'm using a lot of the stuff for the game. And it's 6 different scenarios. And I want you to tell me whether or not this person needs a therapist or it's something else. Okay. So the first one, it says your eating and sleeping habits are off and you are very snappy.
Eating and sleeping habits are off and you're very snappy. You don't need a therapist. You might need a life coach.
See, okay.
Life coach.
You dealt with an extreme trauma and it shook you to the core and you just can't seem to get over it.
Therapy. You need therapy.
You don't want your friends to stop inviting you places, but you know you aren't going to go.
Yeah, you know you're not going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And see, and you let me know, am I insensitive when I have friends like that? Because this is my thing. Some of them, and somebody made the comment, what if they're going through something? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, you're not always going through something. And if you are, then you need to, try to go get that checked out, because I don't feel that y'all should be mad if I don't invite you if I know you're not going to go.
So let me make this right. So you're not going to invite me because every time you invite me, I'm not coming anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I start noticing that behavior, I'm going to ask, hey, is everything okay? Are we all right? Are we good? Are you dealing with anything? Because I'm that type of friend, because I'm in this field. I love to ask, how are you feeling today? And they'll say, I'm fine. I'm like, you sure? Like, yeah, I'm good. Okay, cool. And so I would definitely ask that question, because you never know what is going on. When I was going through my divorce and I told you I was isolating myself, I was that friend. Like, I'm not coming. I'm not coming out. I'm not coming out. I'm not coming down there to visit. I'm not coming home. I'm not picking up the phone. And so I was isolating myself. And what you don't want to do is, while your friend is isolating himself, then look up and then, God forbid, there's a suicide or something, or a suicide.
Right. Yeah. So, and the thing is, I will check on you and just see how you're doing. But a lot of times people just be, how they hold this a trend to be antisocial. A lot of the times that's what it is. And they just be like, oh, I'm not going to come nowhere. I just want to be invited. And they'll make a whole fuss about not being invited. I'm like, but you wasn't going to go.
But see, inside of the therapy, again, remember what I said earlier. A therapist in the therapy is not just for because you're going through something.
Right.
And
Well, yeah,
so,
I know.
yeah, maybe that person might not just want to go out, but maybe they can go to the therapy and help them create a way to effectively communicate why they don't want to go out, right? Instead of saying I don't want to go out. So maybe they just don't know how to communicate that thing. They're not confident in themselves in communicating that thing. But also the reason why I would say therapy is just like you said earlier. When you went to that guy, you were just going because it was available. When you started going to him, you started seeing some stuff. He started flipping some rocks over. He was like, "Wait, there's some animals under this rock. Where this come from? What is
Right.
this?" And so that's another reason why people don't like therapy because they don't want to turn the mirror on themselves.
The fourth one, it says you have developed unhealthy eating patterns out of nowhere.
Ooh. Therapy. I'll say therapy.
You figured out who you are and you learn to put your foot down without letting people walk all over you anymore.
Life coach.
Everything you tried doesn't work, from exercising to reading self-help books and trying to pray it away.
Everything that you try have not helped me. You're going through adversity. You're trying to go over some type of adversity.
It said from exercising to reading self-help books and trying to pray it away, and it still doesn't work.
Therapy.
Okay. All right, good. So now we ending off. I jumped the last one. So this is for my people. This is how I keep y'all engaged. I want y'all to answer this in your stories. Tag me in it. DM me, however you want to do it. You win Cash App prizes. So why do you think society is against God and therapy? So that's your own opinion. I mean, it's a real simple question. There's no right or wrong answers. All right, Jeff, anything you got to say before you go?
Nah, man, this is a blessing, man. I'm humbled by this. Thank you for allowing me to be a guest on your amazing show, man. I've been following it. You're doing a great job, man. And I just pray nothing but blessings over you, bro. Pray nothing but blessings over you.
I appreciate it. See, what I like about these type of shows is, like I said, with me and how I've been doing, I like how even though I have those bigger names and I got to turn around and back door and have homeboy like I grew up with, because I still want to keep that peer conversation going. But what I like about people like you is, and others, I like to catch y'all now for y'all blow up. So then when y'all blow up, you know what I'm saying? And then people look back at the stuff. Because I didn't have two people. One person that was on here was on the Wendy Williams show. Another person been on the Nick Cannon show. So I look.
Oh, wow. Let's do it.
Yeah, so I said, I'm glad I'm getting these people now before they start charging.
Right. I love it.
Before y'all got booking fees.
I love it, man. I love it.
All right, so I appreciate my guest and my boy Jeff for pulling up on us today. All right, y'all, keep the streams going, keep them going. PSA signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are and make your mind up. Don't let it make you.